G'day. My name's Dennis Hall, and it was me that put this page up, and I've been watching it for a few days, and just waiting to see what would happen, and I did it because I think that so many of us feel the same way, and that is that we want the name of New Zealand to remain New Zealand, and so this is one way to do something about that. But today I thought I'd just watch for a while and see what it did, and so that's just me being pragmatic, I suppose. But I really would like to see it succeed because somebody's got to do something about what they're doing to this country, and we can, if we behave ourselves and whatever, we can do it successfully. The thing that prompted me to get out of bed and come back out here at this hour of the morning was to point out that today I got a message from Facebook to say that they'd deleted one of the posts that were put up, and I haven't been moderating the posts. I decided to just leave that until, and so the post. They deleted the post. I didn't see what it was. They just said, do you object to that? And I just said no, because the reality of all this is that if we're going to keep our noses clean, we need to sort of abide by their silly rules and regulations. And so there's no point in arguing, because who wins? They win. And so, but if we want to win, what we've got to do is we've got to try and do this properly. And to do that properly, the page needs to be courteous and reasonable, and it needs to be, how can I say this? It needs to be able to attract, Mrs. Nice Lady from I don't know, Slow Down Lane, and Nana, and Grandpa, and it's got to be okay for kids as well. And so what we've got to do is keep it reasonable. And I'm not suggesting that it has got unreasonable, but I realise there's a potential for that to happen, because some people have got very strong feelings about this business, and they can turn into racist commentary simply because of the fact that it's seems to be perceived as a Maori thing to want to do, to change the name to Aotearoa. But it's not just Maori people that want to do that. It's a whole lot of people who are just anti New Zealand, and a lot of them are white, and so this needs to be a place where ordinary people, ordinary, reasonable, straightforward New Zealanders who are proud to call themselves New Zealanders, can go and participate, and it needs to be a forum for some discussion, and the discussion needs to be kept to the point. And when I say that, I haven't really reviewed all of the posts that have been put up, and I should have. I've just been remiss. But I had a conversation today with I had asked for people to help me to moderate it, and I've had a couple of responses. And I need another admin, because I'm not going to be able to do this properly all by myself. But what I think I can do properly is to give it a lead, in the sense that trying to explain the kind of product we want to end up with. And we want to end up with a product that is reasonable and straightforward, understandable to ordinary people, and something that they feel as though they can belong to. Because, and something that they can be proud to belong to and not ashamed. And so that means that extremist commentary needs to be not kept to a minimum, kept away altogether. We don't need any of that. And because we've got to bear in mind what the job at hand is, and the job at hand is that there are people trying to change the name of our country, and there's another page that's been set up to try and do the same thing. We can join up with them at some point or whatever, but that's the job, and I believe, along with a lot of other people that I've talked to, that a very large number of people in New Zealand. The reason the government won't put this to the vote is because they'll lose it. Ordinary New Zealanders do not want Aotearoa. That's all there is to it. And this government is nasty and underhanded enough to ignore that and just force it on us. So So they will do everything they can to stop us from running this page. That bloody reflection on my glasses is annoying me. They'll do everything to try and stop us from doing what we're trying to do here. So it's going to be necessary for us to exercise restraint in what we do, but to make sure that we can be forthright, we can be straightforward, but the arguments we offer for keeping the name of New Zealand have got to be reasonable and tempered with courtesy. Now, I sort of thought this through in the last half an hour, and I haven't scripted it, and maybe I should have, or whatever. But it seems to me that most people are going to have the same sort of understanding of this as I do, but there will definitely be people on the extreme edges who are going to try and aside from trolls who are likely to try and ruin what we're doing here, there's going to be people who just are going to be too over the top in their commentary. So that I'm just really what I'm trying to do is set a bit of a template. And so what we need to do is we've got to figure out amongst the jobs we have to try and do, aside from keeping this nice and tidy and clean and reasonable and acceptable to, like I said, Nana, has to be acceptable to Nana. And I know it's a bit of a weird thing to say, but nevertheless, I mean that's the way we can attract anybody. I mean, a bikie's got a Nana, but he's not going to be in charge of this. He's not, do you know what I mean? There's plenty of good bikies, but whatever. Geez, I talk some crap sometimes. But anyway, I just, the sort of jobs that we need to try and do and encourage people to try and be creative for us, because we need to think up ways to develop this page and get it bigger and bigger and bigger. And so that means we need to keep eyes on the ball, eyes on the job, not sort of throw in other things in the commentary stream that have nothing to do with what we're trying to do. We need to stick to the job at hand, and the job at hand is to try to set up an organisation. And I would like to see it become an organisation. I want it to have a committee. I want it to have a set of rules, and I'm prepared to listen to anybody who wants to offer advice or suggestions or whatever to that end, so that we've got an organisation that can actually potentially raise money to help us do this, and that can inspire people to believe that it's reasonable enough to be able to take this forward and develop it into a national organisation that wants New Zealand to remain New Zealand and is prepared to stand up and say so. And people have said, you could go and have some demonstrations in the street and whatever. I got to tell you, I got a couple of plans for demonstrations, but it doesn't involve being in the street. I think that the biggest problem in New Zealand is the media, because the media want Aotearoa. They just do, and they're the voice. They're the voice. They are the enemy of decency, I think. And they're wall-to-wall propaganda these days. So, I think if we're going to have a protest, we need to give them some, and we just need to start every now and again blockading the street that they're in. Pretty simple stuff. Just pick on TV1, TV3, and TV whatever 4 or whoever's doing it. And so we need to be organised, we need to be reasonable, we need to stay inside the law, no hate speech, no nonsense. And so I'm tired now, so I'm going to go back to bed. But I thought I've got to get up and do this now, otherwise I'll forget some of it by morning. So please, we need a slogan, and the slogan's got to include things like reasonable, wholesome, and well-intentioned. It seems to me that's what we need to be, and the people need to be easily able to recognise us for that. And we've got one job. That's all. One job, and that job is to make sure New Zealand remains with the name New Zealand, and that if we have to, we can push for a referendum, which of course we'll win. We would win, so we'll be winners. But so please, I know this is extremely unprofessional what I've just done. Maybe I'll put it up, maybe I won't. But anyway, I'm going to have a look at it in the morning when I'm. So thank you, and good night or good day or whatever it might be when you're watching this. So we're going to be for real. We're going to do the best we can to do a proper job. Thank you very much. And I have to learn how to turn it off. Yep. Here we go. Thank you very much.